Ma vie en rose.
And of course, Ma vie en rose translates from French-Belgian to English to My Life in Pink, and that's pretty much what the story is. You basically have a transgender girl and it depicts her family and community struggling to accept her gender identity. And yeah, talk about a movie that's ahead of its time. And not only that, talking about a young girl. Like, this is a young person that is dealing with this. He was raised. This person was raised as a boy, and he wants to live as a girl. And you know, this movie, I've never seen it before, but I gotta say, looking at a little bit of the plot here, we're dealing with some stuff here that is very interesting stuff here. I mean, I'm looking at something that happens in the plot here, and this kid attempts suicide at one point because of the situation in here, and this is some pretty deep stuff here. And I don't know, I've never seen this movie, but I'm kind of curious to see how this actually plays out. It's got some good reviews. It won it was a Golden Globe nominee for Best Foreign Language Film, and I think it won. It was up for the Oscar for the Belgian entry for the Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars, but was not accepted as a nomination. But like I said, this looks like a movie that's pretty well ahead of its time, and a film that maybe, just maybe, could be something pretty interesting, and pretty unique. And I don't know. I'm kind of curious to check it out at some point. But like I said, I haven't seen it before, but my interest is definitely peaked on this film. Like I said, I think it's a movie that's very much ahead of its time, and I think came out way before it had a chance to really show. Like, if this was released today, I think this would have gotten a much bigger response than what it would have gotten back then, because I think this one's largely forgotten. But then again, I don't really know too much about this movie other than what I'm seeing here from the trailer. But like I said, it looks like it could be very interesting. So yeah, that's Ma vie en rose, aka My Life in Pink. So let's go ahead and move on to Martin Scorsese's latest film, or as I'd like to call it, it's Diet: The Last Emperor. This is Kundun.
In 1937, the search for the Dalai Lama's reborn spirit led to a small village in Tibet.
This is mine.
You say this is yours? What else belongs to you? Yes, those are yours. Yes. Good.
I mean, just by that trailer alone, you can definitely tell that Disney was trying to do something similar to The Last Emperor, which came out 10 years prior, and was a much better movie in comparison. But the story behind this movie is more interesting than what's going on behind the scenes. This was the second film released in 1997 to cover the depiction of the Dalai Lama. We already talked about the other one, 7 Years in Tibet. But this one covers a period 3 times longer, and it's actually the last film penned by Melissa Matheson, who wrote E.T. and would later write the BFG. This was the last film she wrote before her death in, I think it was 2015 that happened. Let me just double check here. Yeah, 2015 is when that happened. So the BFG was technically her last movie, but this was the last movie she made when she was still alive. And the film, like I said, garnered some controversy before its release. So what happened was the leaders of China were very objective to what Disney was planning to do by distributing the film. They even threatened to prevent Disney from having future access to China as a market. And, you know, Disney steadfast stood in stark contrast to Universal Pictures, who had earlier turned down the chance to distribute Kundun for fear of upsetting the Chinese. So they had Scorsese, Matheson, and several other members of the production banned from the Chinese government from ever entering China as a result of making the film. And China also retaliated by banning Disney films and pulling the Disney cartoons they had on there. And then the following year, they apologized for releasing the film and began to undo the damage, eventually leading to Shanghai Disneyland opening almost 20 years later in 2016. and Michael Eisner had apologized for offending Chinese sensitivities, calling the film a stupid mistake, going on to say that the bad news is that the film was made, the good news is that nobody watched it. Here I want to apologize, and in the future we should prevent this sort of thing which insults our friends from happening. And by 2015, Scorsese's ban had been lifted as he attended the premiere of The Audition in Baku. And despite this never being released on streaming, this has been released on DVD and Blu-ray by Kino Lorber. In fact, it got so bad that Disney basically buried this film, which was limited the release because of minimizing the damage to the relationship with the Chinese Communist Party, which only ended up with this movie making $6 million in the process. This is a film that cost $28 million, and it only brought in $6 million. And it did get nominations for Academy Awards, but like I said, man, this is a film that just feels like a diet version of The Last Emperor. Like Disney wanted to make their own version of The Last Emperor, which is a far superior movie. It's a much more engaging film, and while this film has some striking visuals to it, the story itself really isn't all that interesting. It's not an intriguing film. It's not that engaging of a movie. It's not the worst movie you can make about this, but at the same time, there's no real pizzazz to it. There's nothing about it that really makes you say, this is something that needed to be made. This feels like a film that Martin Scorsese was trying to do so he can get his long-deserved Oscar, which he wouldn't get for another 10 years, with a much better film with The Departed. But with this, the film itself is just... it's just not even worth it. It's not a film that's engaging. It's not a film that's exciting. It basically, like I said, tries to rip off The Last Emperor, but The Last Emperor did it a whole lot better because they had a more engaging story, more engaging characters, and they kept you invested throughout the entire majority of the film. This film just feels like something that was just a throwaway, and when you spend nearly $30 million on a film like this, you don't want to waste that money, and you definitely feel like they wasted a lot of money here for something that they had a lot of high hopes for, but just did not go that way whatsoever. It's a film that's largely been forgotten. It's largely seen as one of Martin Scorsese's most unsuccessful movies, and you can definitely see why it was. It's not a bad movie per se. He's made a lot worse than this, but at the same time, it's nothing that great either. It's a film that's just largely forgettable, and you can honestly, I don't see how you cannot see that. So that is Kundin. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Afterglow. So you basically have two families who are unhappy with their respective relationships. First of an ambitious businessman and a sexually frustrated wife, and a second of a repair contractor and a former B-movie actress. And when this guy arrives to the other guy's apartment to make some minor repairs and Marion becomes obsessed with him, the everyday balance breaks. So basically you have these two people switching couples, really. And I don't know, it doesn't really sound like something that could be that interesting unless you had somebody like a Woody Allen or somebody like Alan Rudolph who directed this. It's got a good cast to it. Nick Nolte, Julie Christie, Lara Flynn Boyle, Johnny Lee Miller. Some decent actors in here, and it doesn't look like it's a bad movie per se, but it feels like a film that's kind of a one-note premise. Like, it doesn't really feel like it has a whole lot there to work with here, but it's got some decent reviews to it. In fact, Julie Christie got nominated for an Oscar for this performance in this film. But yeah, other than that, though, I don't think there's anything about this movie that I really want to see about it. Like, I haven't seen this movie, so I don't really know if it's any good or not, but I don't know. Maybe it is actually worth something, but to me personally, I just don't see it right in front of me. So I don't know if it's any good or not. Maybe one day I'll definitely check it out. But that's Afterglow. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is directed by Alan Rickman, The Winter Guest, with Emma Thompson and her real-life mother.
Once before I've seen the sea frozen. Just the once. Long, long ago.
All Frances wanted was to hide from the world.
Francis!
Until her mother arrived.
What have you done to her? Here, cut it. That's plain to see.
My grandmother's in there.
Doesn't make you look any younger.
Say something nice, Mother. Try. It's a bloody battlefield.
A happy woman doesn't mutilate herself.
I have to think I look good.
I've seen you look better on. Take my bloody arm, Mother. I don't need your arm. Take my arm. Please.
So the story of this takes place on one wintry day in Scotland, and the film focuses on several different people. You have a mother and daughter, Emma Thompson and her real-life mother, Felita Law, 2 young boys skipping school, Douglas Murphy and Sean Biggerstaff, 2 old women who frequently attend strangers' funerals, Sandra Vo and Sheila Reed, and 2 teenagers, Arlene Cockburn and Gary Hollywood. Basically, it consists of the interactions between the characters, and I don't really know too much more about this one because I've never seen it before. I know Alan Rickman directed it, which is very interesting because I don't think he ever directed another movie before this one. Let me see here. He would direct one other movie, A Little Chaos, that came out 17 years after this film, so he has directed another movie since then. Yeah, as far as the movie itself goes, I don't really know too much about it. I don't know if it's any good or not, but it could be. It's got some good reviews, a lot of praise for Emma Thompson's performance. It's Emma Thompson. She doesn't usually pick bad movies, and usually when she does, she's not the worst. She doesn't really give a bad performance, so I doubt that this is a bad movie. I think this could be actually something kind of decent, so... But other than that, though, I don't really know too much about it. It came out this weekend, so might as well cover it here. So that's The Winter Guest. Let's move on to the next one we have here, and that is The Education of Little Tree.
Cherokee lived in these hills since the Creator put them there. They farmed the valleys, taught they sailed away. And that's you, Little Tree. That's where you come from.
Written and directed by the same guy that gave us A River Runs Through It, the writer of that. This is basically a story where you have an orphan boy raised by his paternal Scottish descendant grandfather and his Cherokee grandmother in the Great Smoky Mountains. As far as the film itself goes, it's another one I don't really know too much about, except that James Cromwell's in here, and that's Graham Greene playing his grandfather. And other than that, though, I don't really know too much else about the movie. I don't know if it's any good or not. It's got mixed reviews on there, so... It could be decent, but again, I haven't seen it. It feels like this movie was supposed to be Paramount's big prestige Oscar film and not something like Titanic, because it came out just a couple days after that, and kind of crashed and burned at the box office. It was not a big critical hit, so I don't know how well that went. But other than that, though, like I said, I don't really know if it's any good or not. I'm probably guessing it probably is at least tolerable. It doesn't look like it's a bad movie per se, but that's really all I'm going off on that one, so... Not much more I can say about that one, The Education of Little Tree. On to the next movie, and that is Daniel Day-Lewis and Emily Watson in The Boxer.
Man of honor. A woman of courage.
Pick up my heart.
Separated by fate. How can I ask you to work for me? Divided by family.
I'm not going to lose, Sony.
From the acclaimed director of In the Name of the Father, Daniel Day-Lewis, Emily Watson. The Boxer. This film is not December 31st in select theaters everywhere January 9th.
So this is the third time that Jim Sheridan and Daniel Day-Lewis have made a movie together. Of course, they follow In the Name of the Father, as well as My Left Foot. And you have Daniel Day-Lewis, who plays a former boxer and a professional IRA volunteer who's trying to go straight after his release from prison, and meets various people, including Brian Cox, who plays a character in here, Emily Watson. And it kind of looks like the Scottish equivalent to... No, Irish equivalent to Rocky. Scottish because we've already looked at 2 movies that are set in Scotland, but it looks pretty generic. But you know, Daniel Day-Lewis usually will never turn in a bad performance, and usually will give it his all. Emily Watson's a great actress. Brian Cox is always great. As far as the film itself goes, it's tolerable. It's fine for what it is. It's a one-time watch. It's not something I feel like you need to watch over and over again. It's definitely not one of the stronger Daniel Day-Lewis films, especially when you consider some of the other films he's made. My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood, Lincoln. They're not even the best movie directed by Jim Sheridan, who's made a lot better movies than this. But other than that, though, there's not really too much more to say about it. It's a decent film. Good for a one-time watch. I probably won't ever watch it again, honestly. So that's The Boxer. Let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here, and that is Oscar and Lucinda.
Born worlds apart, Oscar and Lucinda were destined for each other.
Are you curious?
Of course I am curious.
A game of chance brought them together.
Heads.
But the greatest risk they'd ever take could tear them apart. Fox Searchlight Pictures proudly presents Ralph Fiennes. Shall we play? And Kate Blanchett.
Yes.
Oscar and Lucinda, a film by Gillian Armstrong.
So this is Gillian Armstrong's follow-up to Little Women. It follows Oscar, played by Ralph Fiennes. He's a young Anglican priest. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. Anglican priest. I think that's what it is. But he's a misfit. He's an outcast with the soul of an angel as a boy. Even though he's a strict Pentecostal family, he felt God told him through a sign to leave his father in faith to join the Church of England. And Lucinda, played by Cate Blanchett, is a teenage Australian heiress who has an almost desperate desire to liberate her sex from the confines of the male-dominant culture of the Australia of that time. She buys a glass factory, has a dream of building a church made of almost entirely of glass, and then transports it to Belgium, a remote settlement on the north coast. And these two meet up on a ship going to Australia. Once there, they are, for different reasons, ostracized from society. They join forces together. They both become passionate gamblers, and Lucinda bets Oscar's entire inheritance that he cannot transport the glass church to the outback safely. And Oscar accepts his wager, and this leads to the events that will change both of their lives forever. I read that off of Wikipedia because I have never seen this film, but it's Ralph Fiennes, it's Cate Blanchett, it's got Ciarán Hinds, Tom Wilkinson, Richard Roxburgh, a great cast overall. Jeffrey Rush narrates it, so it's got to be at least tolerable with that, with all those names on board. I've not heard anything that says it's a bad movie, so I'm guessing it's not a bad movie. But then again, I don't really know too much about it. I've never seen it before. I don't know if it's any good or not, but it can't be that bad of a movie with the talent that they have on there. One would think it wouldn't be, so. It doesn't look bad either. It's got a nice visual flow to it, and it has a nice story to it, so. Maybe it could be good, but other than that, I'm not really sure if it's any good or not, so. That's pretty much all I got from that one. That's Oscar and Lucinda.
When fire breaks out, there's a dedicated team ready to jump right into the middle of it. But for their leader, this time, the enemy isn't the flame.
It was a prison break!
It's the man who lit the match. In case you haven't noticed, we're not firemen.
There's a girl with him. Take me down.
20th Century Fox presents Howie Long, Scott Glenn, Susie Amos, and William Forsythe.
Jabba! You still alive?
Firestorm.
I mean, I can't wait to see the latest Fox Tuesday night movie of the week. Or, wait a minute, that's right, this thing was on the big screen. I mean, did anything from that trailer really suggest this needed to be seen on a big screen? I don't know. I didn't think so. And also, just because Howie Long was in Broken Arrow doesn't mean you have to use the same music from the Broken Arrow soundtrack. I mean, it's literally the same soundtrack they used in the trailers for Broken Arrow. I mean, but yeah, like I said, it looks like a movie that you would have seen on Fox's Tuesday Night at the Movies back in 1998. Not something you'd see on a big screen. And honestly, it turned out this actually was supposed to be a lot bigger too, because this was supposed to be released originally by Savoy Pictures, who had a bigger plan for it. It was supposed to be more epic in scale, with better visuals, better CG effects. Like, it was supposed to be a straightforward disaster movie, for something on the lines of Dante's Peak or Volcano and Twister. And they even offered Sylvester Stallone $20 million to star in it, which he did accept, and they were actually going to do it. But then studio went bust. Fox picked it up and turned it into a much smaller budgeted movie, and they were only looking to spend $30 million on the film. And they got Graham Yost, one of the writers of the Speed movies, to do the polishing on this. And final budget ended up being about $19 million. But even $19 million, this does not look like a movie that cost $19 million to make. I mean, and yeah, like I said before, this was Howie Long. This is, of course, the longtime defensive end of the Las Vegas, of the then. Well, they were back in Oakland by this point. When they won the Super Bowl, they were the Los Angeles Raiders when Howie Long was on it. And it's one of several attempts from several different football players to try to branch out into Hollywood. I mean, there was another guy from the Los Angeles Raiders, Lyle Alzado, the late Lyle Alzado, who tried to have a successful film career, which didn't pan out very well. And unfortunately, he passed away because of. I think he passed away. It was because he had I can't remember what he died of now. Okay, I knew he had some kind of. It was something that from the effect that he had because he used a lot of steroids. I thought he died of AIDS for some reason, but no, he died of a brain cancer. which was contributed from the steroid use he had. He died in 1992. Just wanted to get that information out there correctly, so I didn't give any misinformation on there. But you know, at this point, Howie Long was also one of the main guys on Fox's NFL Sunday, and he still has done it to this very day. I think he's been there since the very beginning, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, Howie Long can be a pretty decent actor. He was good in Broken Arrow. He has a really good role in the director's cut of That Thing You Do, even though I don't like the director's cut that much. I thought it was pretty funny, him playing the gay lover of Tom Hanks' character. I thought that was pretty good. And the guy's not a bad actor. He's got some good talent behind him. Scott Glenn, William Forsythe, Barry Pepper. I mean, there's a good cast involved here. Just not a good story, really, whatsoever. It's a generic movie. It's a film that's not really all that engaging. It's not really all that exciting. It just doesn't have enough there to really make you want to see it. It's missing, for lack of a better word, the spark that it needed to really be something special. I mean, if they had gone in with what the original studio wanted to do with it, and have something like what they were going to do with Sylvester Stallone, I think maybe they could have made it work. But you could tell that this was just rushed out there because they got it from a studio that was quickly losing its business, and they just decided to turn it down, to take it down as much as they could, so they didn't spend too much money on it. And it's a shame, because I really think there could have been something there had they actually gotten somebody really there to do it. But this makes something like a Fire Down Below or something like a Steven Seagal movie look better by comparison. And Steven Seagal's a terrible actor compared to Howie Long. I mean, Howie Long could act circles around Steven Seagal, honestly, even though he hasn't really had a big role like this. And he's trying his best here, but it's just not enough for me to recommend it. It's not even that great of a movie, honestly. It's like I said, it's a January movie. I mean, what the hell else do you expect from that? So yeah, that's Firestorm for you. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to some of these 1997 leftovers. And most of these, honestly, I didn't really want to cover direct-to-video movies, honestly, but I thought, you know what, I'll cover some of these Disney direct-to-video movies because some of them I do have memories of, and there wasn't really a whole lot of other movies on this list for the movies I didn't cover to really look at that were in theaters. There's only 2 that I have on here, but these 4 I do remember in some way, shape, or form. So we can be brief on these ones too, because I have these reviews up on the website as well. But let's start with the first one I have here, and that is Pooh's Grand Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin.
There was a boy and a bear, and together they had many grand adventures. But the grandest and most extraordinary of all their adventures is about to begin. Disney invites your family to come along on a magical journey with the world's best loved characters in an all-new movie.
Wow!
That continues where the original story left off. Pooh's Grand Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin.
So this comes 20 years after The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and this was actually Disney's third direct-to-video movie after the 2 Aladdin sequels. And this is an original story that essentially continues where the original film left off, the scene where Christopher Robin must leave the 100-acre wood behind and he's starting school. And in it, Christopher Robin and Pooh discuss what they'd like doing together, and the boy asks the bear to promise to remember him and to keep some of the memories of the time they have together alive, and Pooh agrees to do so. And the film closes with the narrator saying that wherever Christopher Robin goes, Pooh will always be there whenever he returns, and that's where the new film kind of leaves off. In a way, sort of. Despite starting right where the original story left off, the opening does begin with Christopher Robin trying to tell Pooh some sad news while they're enjoying their adventures in the 100-acre wood, which he finally gets a chance to tell him at some point, but it basically ends with... when he gets to do it, he basically ends it with some advice that's in a really powerful scene. I mean, this scene in particular, where he's telling him, you're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you... What is it? You're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you're... You're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you seem, and you're smarter than you think. I mean, that scene kind of perfectly sets the tone for the movie you're about to watch, because you're in for a more, maybe not darker, but more heavier tone than the usual Winnie the Pooh stories that we're used to hearing. But in a way, that's kind of why I have the special appreciation for this movie that most people do, because there has been that mixed reception, because the movie tackles some heavier themes and imagery in this that are kind of against what the Winnie the Pooh movies are kind of supposed to do, but in a way, I think kids can handle these darker elements, especially for a Disney movie of all things. Plus, to the movie's credit, they do keep the heavier moments in tone. The most epic I think it ever gets in here is when they get stuck in a ravine and fall off this huge cliff, and that's about as harsh as it gets, but really, there's a lot to admire about this movie. I think the animation is in a similar fashion to the previous Winnie the Pooh movies and shows. It's back in full force in this film, and the voice cast is back from the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, including you hear Jim Cummings as Pooh, the late John Fielder as Piglet, and the late Paul Winchell as Tigger in what would be his last original Pooh film he'd be involved in. He'd be in Seasons of Giving, that came out a couple years after this, but more in archival footage. And David Warner does a very good job with the narration here as well. The music is really good, too. They got the composer from Gargoyles, Carl Johnson, to do it. He creates this really impressive score that ties very well with the film. And the songs are really good, too. And you'd swear these were songs written by the Sherman Brothers once again, but honestly, it's not. As far as the movie goes, there really is not a whole lot of negativity I could give this film. I just love it all the way around. I think it teaches good lessons about life. It isn't afraid to go for a more heavier storyline with these characters. The animation is great. The voice work is nicely done. The songs are very good. The score is great. It's a nicely made Winnie the Pooh movie, and I think it's one of the more overlooked Disney direct-to-video movies they've ever made. It's one I definitely say you'd want to give a watch. I'd say if you like a story with that's bigger with most of these characters involved, this one definitely is much smarter than you think it is, to quote the movie itself. I think you should definitely check it out. Pooh's Grand Adventure. So here's another direct-to-video movie from Disney that came out in '97, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas.
From Walt Disney Studios, for everyone who loves Disney's Beauty and the Beast, comes the world premiere of a brand new Disney animated classic, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. The magic of one of your favorite Disney movies continues, with the original cast in an all-new movie, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, coming fall 1997.
So this is a story that takes place within the story of Beauty and the Beast. I think they said it takes place right in the middle of the original movie. And it's kind of where the Beast and Belle are starting to get along a little bit more. I think it's supposed to take place after the wolves attack Belle and the Beast saves her. And then it goes from there. At least I think that's what they're implying, but I'm not really entirely sure on that. I'd have to double check that. But as far as the movie itself goes, and as for a direct-to-video sequel to Beauty and the Beast, it's harmless. It is what it is. At least it has more to do with it than what Belle's Magical World did that comes out after this, which is not a great film whatsoever. As far as the animation goes, it's nicely done. It looks pretty good for a direct-to-video movie. The winter colors are actually played very nicely here. It looks pretty impressive. I like Tim Curry as the pipe organ. He's a great villain in this film. The storyline they actually do have, that the fact that the Beast turns into the monster during Christmas time is actually kind of an interesting little side story they add into there. But the CG work on the overall is very impressive too. And you know what? It's Tim Curry, man, doing that voice. And I mean, I like that. I mean, Tim Curry could honestly read the phone book and he'd make it awesome. I mean, Bernadette Peters is also really interesting in having this movie too. I like that she has a nice role in here. I do kind of wish they had given her some more songs to play off to do. I mean, there's only one time in the movie she has a real song in the movie, and that's where she's teamed up with Paige O'Hara. But even then, that's not really that. It's not even really that long of a song, and you kind of wish you had more of that in this film. But other than that, everything else is just kind of mad. I mean, the story's about as generic as you can get. The way they try to set up this in the middle of the original movie is a little hard to follow. I think Bambi 2 kind of perfected this more, because they at least had a point where they could add more to the story, and it didn't feel like overkill. But in here, it feels kind of forced in. The songs are, for the most part, pretty forgettable. The pacing does feel a little bit rushed. I mean, it's only a little over an hour long, and it feels like they try to pack in so much into this. And you never feel like you get a movie where the passion that went into the original Beauty and the Beast really went into it, but it just feels more like it's kind of a cash grab. But then again, this is not the worst cash grab you could do with a story like this. I mean, Belle's Magical World and the 2017 version, which the live-action one, but I digress. There's stuff in here that works. It's not a complete waste, but you never get the sense that this is a must-watch at Christmas. I know this is seen by a lot of people as somewhat of a must-watch, but honestly, if you'd really want to see this, it's worth a rent or a one-time watch. But me personally, it's not something I'd watch every year. I don't really watch it every Christmas either. It's just, I saw it once, thought it was alright, and moved on. So, at least just my take on it. So that's Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. Let's go ahead and move on to yet another direct-to-video Disney sequel, and that is Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Walt Disney Pictures. When he shrunk the kids, he
promised his shrinking days were over.
All right, shrink machine, one last time.
But Rick Moranis has done it again.
We have critical mass.
Only this time,
Are we shrunk?
You shrunk us.
he's still got a few bugs to work out. From the makers of the smash hit Honey, I Shrunk the Kids comes a hilarious new movie, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
You idiot! Don't you mean They can step on us.
Now, they'll go to any lengths
Them skids.
and any heights to get the kids' attention before it's too late.
Get ready to party. You can't have a party.
What are you gonna do about it, Thumbelina? You are dead meat, mister!
Gordon, you're 3/4 of an inch tall.
It's the fastest,
Hold on! It's a jump!
The laundry chute.
it's the funniest,
I don't think we're using enough fabric softener. Jump! Hang on to what?
it's the tastiest,
For teenage girls, how much can they eat? Watch out!
and it's the wildest motion picture event of the year. Disney's Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves,
You know, Dad, I didn't invite those boys over.
coming exclusively to video.
Turns out 1997 was the year for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I mean, you not only had the sequel come out, I think the first two movies actually were released on video at the time, but then you had Disney Channel coming up with the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids TV show that came out not but a couple months afterwards, and actually ran for a couple of seasons. So this was a pretty good year for this series, and it helps that this movie was actually something that I remember liking more than Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I mean, one of the big problems with Honey, I Blew Up the Kid largely was because it was just basically a toned-down version of what made the first Honey, I Shrunk the Kid so special. But, you know, from a story standpoint, this one's not the most original. It's basically just another role reversal of the first movie, except this time, let's have the adults get smaller and the kids are normal size, which makes for some pretty interesting... It makes for some more interesting setups here. But they have some really good writers aboard on this. I mean, Carrie Kirkpatrick, who wrote James and the Giant Peach, Chicken Run, the live-action Charlotte's Web, Over the Hedge. You have Nell Scovell, who's written for The Simpsons, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, David Letterman, The Critic, Coach, Murphy Brown, even Joe Hodson from Mystery Science Theater 3000 wrote for this. And they all managed to actually put some good entertainment value into this and make it somewhat enjoyable. The cast is really good here, too. They're mostly perfectly fine. Rick Moranis is always going to be fun to see as Wayne Szalinski. I think the rest of the adult actors overall are very good. The kid actors are actually pretty good too. I mean, they're pretty entertaining as well. You'll recognize a couple of these kid actors. Allison Mack, who later go on to star in Smallville. Bug Hall, coming off of The Little Rascals. Even Mila Kunis and Lisa Wilholt from Family Guy show up in this movie as friends of the girl character in this. The visuals are also surprisingly impressive for this film. For a direct-to-video feature and the set design for when everything is smaller, I mean, they put their all into this movie for a smaller budgeted sequel, and it also helps to have a longtime cinematographer in Dean Cundey making his directorial debut. And this is his only directorial effort, going back to mostly doing cinematography. And it's a shame because this is the same guy that gave us the Back to the Future trilogy. He shot those. He shot Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It would have been nice to see what he could do with more directorial efforts after this, but never made anything after that as a director. But you know what? He did make one good movie, and that's this film. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves is not a classic by any means necessary, but I'd say it's more enjoyable than Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. This is a much better sequel to the original Shrunk the Kids. It's got its fun moments all around. You can see the effort clearly there, and they really did put a lot of effort to make this work, and it succeeded for the most part. I think it's an overall very enjoyable film. So let's go ahead and move on to the last of these Disney direct-to-video movies I have on this list here, and that is The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Now available to own on video cassette. Get ready to boldly go where no appliance has gone before.
Ready for blast off? Ready!
Disney invites you back with all your favorite friends in a brand new movie coming to video May 1998.
We're about to be boosted into hyperspace!
The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Mars!
It's the story of a daring rescue.
It's up to us to see that no trouble comes to the little master.
And this time, they'll have to make it home by breakfast.
Are we there yet?
Headed, boys!
Discover the true meaning of friendship and loyalty with Lampy, Kirby, Radio, Blanky, and the brave one himself. The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars. An all-new movie, landing only on video.
So yeah, technically this wasn't released here in America until May of '98, but it did get a 1997 Canadian theatrical release, so I think I just throw it into the list here, why not? And, needless to say, it's a very weird movie. I mean, it's basically set after the events of The Brave Little Toaster to the Rescue, which is actually the last movie that came out. So technically this is actually the final movie in the series, even though this was released as the first of 2 sequels. So it's very complicated, needless to say, but you basically have the story where where the Master's baby has been mysteriously beamed to Mars, the baby that was born in the to the rescue, and it's up to our heroes plus a household of new friends to basically go to Mars to save them. And it's a really weird movie. Even as a kid in the '90s, I was baffled by this one too. It's just like, how does this work actually? I mean, what made the first Brave Little Toaster movie work as well as it does, because it does take an idea as silly, as ridiculous as talking appliances, going on this incredible journey, and makes it not only a compelling, exciting, and downright scary at times adventure, but it keeps it in the realms of possibility that in some way, shape, or form, maybe this could happen in real life. Maybe. I mean, in this one, they just take logic and throw it completely out the window to basically, quite literally, to have the main characters go from Earth to Mars in the span of one night. And I get it, this is made for little kids, but you don't really need to insult their intelligence that much. I mean, Wells and Gromit went to the moon in a grand day out, and they weren't trying to get back within the span of a night. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm going a little bit overboard on that front here, and I wouldn't have a problem with it if the rest of the story made sense, but really, it doesn't. There's just so much about the story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, even when they get to Mars, there's so much there that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And again, the original Brave Little Toaster wasn't that complex. It kept its story and execution simple for people to understand, but here, it's kind of sloppily done, and you don't get really the investment in the story or characters as much as you do with the original film. Even the songs in this movie kind of feel forced in here. I mean, none of them are as memorable as something like Worthless, like in the original film, but there's at least Bread and Butter. I mean, it's not like the movie isn't bad. I'm just saying, like, the voice work overall is still very well done. They got a lot of the voice cast from the first movie back. Deanna Oliver as the Toaster, Thurl Ravenscroft as the Vacuum, Tim Stack as Lampy. The new cast does a pretty good job. They got Eric Lloyd from the Santa Claus as Blanky. They have Stephen Tobolowsky, Fivish Finkel, Wayne Knight, Jessica Tuck, Brian Doyle Murray, Carol Channing, DeForest Kelly, Cass Soucy, Scott Menville, among many others. It's got decent animation, too. It's Hyperion Animation. Those guys will usually turn in some good animation, even with some of the weaker projects they have. I mean, I feel like with the Brave Little Toaster, they were kind of trying to do, Disney was trying to do what Universal had done with the Land Before Time sequels. Similar setups, 2 first movies that are both beloved by kids and adults and weren't afraid to go for darker tones, followed by sequels that are much tamer and tailored more to little kids. But the big difference is that there are a few of those Land Before Time movies that are actually having enjoyable moments to them. While the Brave Little Toaster movies don't have that, it's just a sequel that doesn't work. It's not a bad movie per se. It's a very odd and bizarre sequel, but it does have some good animation to it and some good voice work. But I mean, other than that, it's not a bad movie per se, and I think little kids can get into it pretty well. But honestly, it just feels too weird. And the fact that this is actually supposed to be the last movie before the second movie even comes out is a little bit, I don't know, it's hard for me to take. I mean, like I said, it's made for kids. It was made from back then. I watched it back then when I was little. I thought it was alright, but when I watched it again recently, it was just kind of like, yeah, it just, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. So that's the Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars. Now let's move to a completely opposite end of the spectrum with the next movie we have here, and that is Female Perversions.
It's all about power. You gotta make them believe you got whatever they desire. You gotta be everybody's dream. Everything to everybody.
Erase the memories that obsess you. Confront the fears that haunt you. Tilda Swinton, Amy Madigan, Frances Fisher, Paulina Poroskova. Female Perversions.
You know, we talked about how Firestorm could have easily been the Fox Tuesday Night Movie of the Week. Well, here you have a movie that could have easily been a movie you saw late at night on Skinamax, when Skinamax was actually a thing. Basically, Tilda Swinton plays a female attorney who wallows in excess and meaningless sex with both male and female partners while dealing with her personal life problems, including her kleptomaniac sister, played by Amy Madigan. I mean, it basically sounds like a premise that's it's taken straight out of something from the Red Shoe Diaries or one of those Cinemax shows, which, as you saw in that little trailer there, it's produced by the same people who made that. And I don't really know if they succeeded in what they were trying to do, or I don't know if this is supposed to be taken that seriously, or it's supposed to be kind of something on the lines of something like The Best Sex Ever or Red Shoe Diaries or those shows that you see on Cinemax. But it really has a hard time figuring out what it wants to do. And I think from the only time I ever saw this movie was about, I don't know, probably 10 years ago when I watched it on TV one day. It wasn't part of a Cinemax thing. I think it was on some other network, but I'd heard it was actually not that bad, but from what I saw from it, I really didn't get what they were trying to go for here. I mean, I don't think the movie does a very good job of explaining what they want to do here. I mean, they don't really have a good idea what the end result is supposed to be, and despite the fact that there are good talents involved in here, and you got Tilda Swinton, you got Amy Madigan, you got Frances Fisher, Clancy Brown, Layla Robbins from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Paulina Poroskova, Marcia Cross, Shawnee Smith. A really good cast overall here, but the movie doesn't really know what exactly it wants to say by the end of it. The message isn't really coming out that strong there, and it feels like it's trying to appeal to both audiences. It's trying to appeal to the audience that wants that message, that strong female message that it wants to get out there, or as in the other audience that just wants to see this woman have sex with just anyone who's available to them, because you find out that the main character Tilda Swinton plays has sex with male and females in this. I mean, like I said, it doesn't really know how to balance itself out. Doesn't want to be softcore, doesn't want to be taken seriously as a movie. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. And I don't know if the movie actually really succeeded with that, honestly. I mean, honestly, I don't really remember too much about it, but that's pretty much all I remember from it. I couldn't really decide whether or not the movie really couldn't decide whether or not what direction it really wanted to go to. And in the end, that's kind of how I felt about it. I didn't know if I was supposed to take this seriously or was supposed to watch this as something that would be seen late at night on TV, but I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. Maybe if I watch it again nowadays, I could probably figure it out, but that's pretty much all I remember from this movie. It's nothing that I really don't really have a lot to say about it. It wasn't a bad movie, honestly, from what I remember from it, but like I said, the message and the overall purpose doesn't really come into play at all during this, and I think that's really the major sticking point with this particular film. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this movie. Maybe I need to watch it again just to see if there is something there that I'm missing. But other than that, though, that's pretty much all I remember about this movie. So that's Female Perversions. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie we have here, and that is Best Men.
Before Jess could tie the knot.
I need to get some cash. Drop me off to the next corner, all right?
Can't wait. We got your wedding present. His best man.
Nobody move.
Things tied up. A few tellers.
What are you guys thinking?
Some cheese.
I don't think we're going to make it to your wedding.
So, Neil!
Now on, consider me a hostage. Dean Cain, Andy Dick, Sean Patrick Flannery, Mitchell Whitfield, Luke Wilson, and Drew Barrymore.
Are you okay?
Sweetheart. Ain't love grand? Best man.
I guess in a way you can consider this a prequel to Home Fries, because of course Drew Barrymore and Luke Wilson starred in that film. But, I mean, that pretty much tells you the plot right there. The movie basically centers around these four guys as part of this groom party who decide to go rob a bank. And hilarity ensues after that, I guess. I guess this is some sort of a precursor to something like Very Bad Things, but I think that movie did this kind of concept a lot better. The darker comedy that takes place during a time before a wedding, and I thought worked a whole lot better. But this movie, it doesn't look like it has enough there to really make it worth it. I've never seen this film, honestly. I mean, it's got a good cast to it: Dean Cain, Andy Dick, Luke Wilson, Sean Patrick Flannery, Drew Barrymore, Fred Ward, Raymond J. Barry, Brad Dourif. There's a good cast involved in here. Maybe there could be something interesting in here, but the reviews for this have not been that strong, and honestly, it kind of doesn't make me want to see the film, even though this director has done some really good movies. CB4, Billy Madison. In fact, we're going to talk about the next movie she did after this, which was Half Baked, which comes out the following week from this point that we're at right now. So, I don't know. I've never seen this movie, but I've never heard anybody really talk about it all that much, so it probably means the movie is not that great, despite the people that are involved in here. And like I said, I just feel like a movie like Very Bad Things kind of did this concept a little bit better. But we'll eventually get to that one once we get to the end of 98, because that's when that movie comes out. So, other than that, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really tell you if it's any good or not, but that trailer didn't really look like it was all that promising, honestly. So, Yeah, that's best known.
Reese. Who's here? It's the brilliant detective who sealed my British fate. Remember this, Todd? What goes around really goes around. You have a safe trip, yeah?
It's on my side. Go away! There ain't no good life!
Criminals like Reese, they kill a few people, somehow it ain't their fault. But what took place tonight, it's the consequences of what I do.
You're home early today.
What changed?
Detective John Hobbs wants to uncover the truth.
What does Azazel mean? Now, my dictionary says that evil spirit of the wilderness.
Walk away, Mr. Hobbs.
But nothing in this world
Is on my side.
can help him solve this case.
There are angels. Some of these angels were cast down, and a few of the fallen were punished by being deprived of form.
Come on, get out of here.
And each touch
And at the execution, did he try and touch you?
Yeah, he did, actually.
passes the soul of a killer into someone new.
Well, I believe what I see, and I'm still trying to get my mind around what I just saw.
Some things, pal, you shouldn't know.
I know you, Hobbs. Put your gun down. I know who you are.
Put your gun down!
Is on my side. Hey, pal.
My work is based upon evidence.
And aren't your facts resistant to normal interpretation?
Hey, Hobbs.
Leave my family alone.
I'm still having fun.
Denzel Washington,
How do we fight him? Is it even possible?
I believe it is.
John Goodman,
Josie, you know I didn't do this.
I know it is, Hobbs.
Donald Sutherland,
I know you know more than you're saying.
Haven't you done enough, huh?
Time is on my side.
Fallen.
I mean, you get the feeling that the people who saw Shocker saw that movie and said, you know what? We could take this concept and instead of making it a straight up Freddy Krueger-ish type of movie, we can make a different kind of serial killer thriller out of this. And that's kind of what you get here in this movie. Denzel Washington plays this police detective in Philadelphia who's investigating these occult murders committed by this apparent copycat killer. But as that trailer indicates, it's more than likely the spirit of this serial killer, played very well by Elias Codius, who every time he gets into the soul of some person, he touches somebody else, and that person becomes the same person there. It's a really fun concept, and I think for the most part, the movie does a pretty good job of handling that. The execution overall doesn't work all the way through, though, and I think that's why the movie doesn't really have the true full potential that this would have been to make this a really, really great film. This is a really good idea. This is written by Nicholas Kazan, who gave us Reversal of Fortune, and also did stuff like Bicentennial Man. I just saw the list here. Was one of the writers of Matilda. He did stuff like At Close Range. I mean, it's directed by Gregory Hoblet, and Gregory Hoblet is a guy that would later go on to direct stuff like Frequency. He did Primal Fear before this, Fracture, Untraceable. The movie overall, it's a good idea, just not an overall straightforward, well execution. I think the good idea in terms of a story here, I think it's a good idea for a story here, and I think the performances are what really pull the movie through. Like, you know, I've always said it, Denzel Washington's one of our greatest actors. In fact, I would consider him the greatest actor working right now, and he elevates this to another level. I mean, he's that good of an actor that he can elevate lackluster material like this to this level here. John Goodman's performance isn't really all that memorable in there. I mean, it's John Goodman doing what John Goodman usually does to make you like him. I mean, he gives a decent performance, but it's never anything too spectacular or anything. Even that trailer, it's kind of the main crux of his character in there. Like, he's not really that much of an engaging character, even though he has second billing behind Washington. Donald Sutherland's also in here. You see M. Biff Davids, James Gandolfini. Like I said, Elias Codius really is great as the serial killer in this, Edgar Reese. And like I said, there's a lot of good potential here. I think really what it comes down to is that the first half of the movie, I think, is the strongest part. And then, usually with these type of thrillers, the second half is nowhere near as strong. And that really is the biggest flaw with the film. It doesn't stick the landing, I think, as much as they want it to. It has a good hook, right away that sucks you in, but at the same time, it just doesn't really handle it well with the second half. I mean, it definitely could have been a whole lot better, and I really, really do think that the film really could have been a whole lot better than that. And you know, the thing is, it even ends on really a stupid note. It has one of the most ridiculously stupid endings, like the last scene of a film that I've ever seen for a movie that's supposed to be taken so seriously. When I saw this, I was just kind of like, you gotta be freaking kidding me, man. Like, I want to say it, but I don't feel like I should say it to you. I mean, you can look it up online if you really are that desperate to see it, but if you really, but once you watch it, you realize that, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. That is one of the worst, one of the worst ending shots you will ever see for a movie that's supposed to be taken so seriously. Like, it's something straight out of a comedy, honestly, but not a real movie like this. But, yeah, despite the best efforts of its stars, a good premise that starts off pretty strong in the first half, the second half is really where it drops down big time. It just doesn't have enough there to really carry it all the way through. I mean, it's a film that has so much potential, just bad execution when it mattered the most in the second half. So, that is Fallen, so let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman, and Randy Quaid in Hard Rain.
Thus saith the Lord, with the raging flood,
We just want the money!
he makes an end of those who oppose him.
$3 million.
And he pursues his enemies into darkness. Tomorrow, prepare for Hard Rain. Hard Rain, rated R. Starts tomorrow everywhere.
Another story that has some really good potential to it, just bad execution when it matters the most. The basic plot of this, it centers around a heist and man-made treachery amidst a natural disaster in a small Indiana town, and in this case, it's a heavy rainstorm, and there's potential for a good idea here. These guys having this bank heist in the middle of a major storm, but just, it doesn't know whether or not it wants to take itself seriously, or doesn't want to be more of a more lighthearted action movie. I mean, it feels like it's trying to do both. Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater, Randy Quaid, Minnie Driver, Ed Asner, Betty White's in here, Richard Dicer from L.A. Law. I mean, it just doesn't know which direction it really wants to go with, and you never really know whether or not which direction it, like I said, you never know which direction it really wants to go to. It has a really good idea to it. A heist thriller taking place during a massive rainstorm with a flood and all that. That's a pretty awesome idea, but just bad execution just doesn't really work all the way through. Largely forgettable movie, and for good reason. So that's Hard Rain. Let's go ahead and move on to a much better movie that came out this weekend, after looking at some two duds right there. But this is probably the best new release that came out this weekend, and that is the comedy Half-Baked.
If you're offended by tasteless humor, Half-Baked is not for you. But for the rest of us, it's the feel-good comedy of the year. Half-Baked, rated R. Starts Friday.
I mean, this is pretty much as straightforward as you can possibly get. I mean, you have three guys who are trying to get their best friend out of prison, and they go through these get-rich-quick schemes to try to get him out of there, including selling weed. And really, what more do you need to say about this movie? If you're not convinced by that premise alone, then you shouldn't watch this movie. This film obviously did not do well with critics back then, but it's one of those movies that give it time, and you actually watch it, and you realize that, oh yeah, this actually is much funnier than people are making it out to be. I mean, like, these type of movies back then were not easy to sell to critics, honestly. It was one of those things, it was like this with the Cheech and Chong movies, too. Like, those movies didn't do particularly well with critics, but those went on to have massive followings. Dude, Where's My Car is another movie that is very much of that type, even though they're not stoners in that movie, but that was a film that got thrashed by critics, but it grew into a cult following over the years, and case in point, this film does too. And, you know, Dave Chappelle and Jim Breuer, they work off each other very well. This is the second time they've worked off each other. The other one being the short-lived Home Improvement spin-off Buddies, which that didn't last because, first of all, how do you do a spin-off of Home Improvement with these two guys involved in that? Like it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to do that, and you can see why it didn't last very long. But I mean, this is a funny movie, man. I mean, just so many great memorable lines. The scene in the restaurant with Guillermo Diaz, Harlan Williams, Jim Breuer, Dave Chappelle. These guys work off each other so well. I mean, there's just a funny concept here overall. It just has a phenomenal cast to work with. Cameos by a ton of great people. In fact, Bob Saget, who has a cameo in this, turns out when they filmed this movie, they were also filming at the same time was Bob Saget's Dirty Work, which I think is a far superior movie. We'll get to that one eventually later in the year. And they all stayed in the same hotel, and Bob Saget eventually ended up doing an uncredited cameo for this film. What's funny is that they actually asked Harrison Ford to do a cameo, but he declined because apparently he's one of those prolific stoners that everybody in Hollywood pretty much knows about. Like, that's a fun little fact for you right there, to know that Harrison Ford's a pothead. But at the same time, there's nothing really wrong with that, because you know what? It would have been funny if they got him in there, but they didn't. He didn't do it. But still would have been funny to see, though. But other than that, though, like, really, I mean, what more do I gotta say about this movie, man? This is a friggin' hilarious movie. I mean, it's so over the top. They know it's silly, it's stupid, it's straight up ridiculous. It's fully right there. It was just ahead of its time. It's a film that I think was way too ahead of its time. If you had somebody like Judd Apatow's name, or even somebody like Phil Lord or Chris Miller, nowadays this would probably be a highly acclaimed film. But back then, nobody knew who Dave Chappelle really was, honestly, except for that guy who was in the Nutty Professor movie. But it's gone on to have a cult following, and Dave Chappelle has had a good following for a number of years. So it's just a great movie, man. I love it, man. It's a really, really funny, silly, over-the-top movie, and I love it every minute. I love every minute of it. So with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Star Kid.
Hey, ever feel like a small, powerless, ineffectual speck in the universe?
What is this?
Phase 1 Assault Cyber Suit.
Try this on for size. Star Kid, rated PG.
Here's another one of those movies. You used to see it put on television all the time on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. And I never went to see it. I never wanted to see it on video. I never saw it in theaters. I never saw it on video. It just really didn't. It didn't really appeal to me. Plus, I don't know. It has Joseph Mazzello from Jurassic Park and The River Wild. And I don't know. To me, it kind of looked like a mix between something like The Flight of the Navigator and what was the other movie that tried to be something like this? Maybe kind of a precursor to Iron Man, maybe? I mean, I don't know. I just never really got into it. I never really wanted to see this movie, and I've never really seen this movie in full. Like, I've only seen the little bits of the commercials here and there. And nobody's ever really said, you need to watch Star Kid. You're missing out on something special. Everybody that I've ever heard anybody talk about it, it's just kind of like, it's there. It's not bad, but certainly not great either. But that's what I kind of feel like when I see the trailers for this. Not good, but not bad either. I mean, would you believe that this is also made by the same guy that gave us Dr. Giggles? Bet you didn't think of that one, but I don't know. I mean, I've never heard anybody say it's a cult classic, it's something that you really need to get back into, or something like that, but no, it just never really stuck out to me. And honestly, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's any good or not, so quick one on that one. That's Star Kid. So let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here, and that is Pretty Village, Pretty Flame. So this is a film that's set during the Bosnian War. It's a Serbian film. It tells the story of Milan, part of a small group of Serb soldiers trapped in a tunnel by a Bosniak force. And through flashbacks, the lives of the trapped soldiers in pre-war Yugoslavia are shown, particularly Milan and his Bosniak best friend Halil, becoming enemies after having to pick opposing sides in the conflict. I've never seen this movie, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. But it's got a lot of acclaim to it. I mean, it's got a lot of good reviews to it. It was highly praised when it came out. Was nominated for several awards. It was actually submitted as the Serbian entry for the Best Foreign Language Film Academy Award nominations, and I don't think it won it. I don't think it even got nominated, honestly, because I'm not seeing anything that said that it got nominated. So maybe it didn't. Probably didn't nominate it, honestly. But well, like I said, I don't really know too much about it. I don't know if it's any good or not. I mean, it's got the good reviews behind it. It could actually be something kind of decent, but I don't know too much about it to really delve more into it. So just wanted to bring that up because it came out this weekend. So that's Pretty Village, Pretty Flame.
Formed for royalty and entertain millions the world over. But now, They're making
Got any paper?
a movie. Columbia Pictures presents the Spice Girls in their first film.
Are we making a movie here or what?
All right, we're coming.
Spice World.
Is my bracelet too short?
No. If you wanna be my lover.
What an appropriate trailer, because this movie is a steaming pile of you-know-what. This is a bad movie, and this came out right at the peak of Spice Girls' popularity. I mean, this film was a massive success overseas, and of course in the UK, where these girls come from. Of course, you have Mel B, Emma, Victoria, Jerry, and Mel C. I think I said Mel C. I think I said Mel B already, but Victoria, Emma, Mel C, Mel B, and of course Jerry. And this is a movie that is very much in the vein of something like A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles, and I guess that was the point of this. This is trying to be sort of like an equivalent to that, but A Hard Day's Night still holds up after so many years. This got dated pretty damn quickly, especially when you consider that the Spice Girls literally broke up the first time not but a few years after this movie came out. I mean, it had started when Jerry Halliwell left the group in I think that following May. I think she left the group, and then all of a sudden they basically tried to keep it going, but it just didn't last very long. But they have eventually gotten back together on various occasions, and this is a weird movie. This is a film that is trying to tell a story like similar to A Hard Day's Night, but they also add in dream sequences and flashbacks, because heaven forbid the dream sequence cliche will not die, goddammit. This movie will make sure that does not happen, and it really should have died. It really should have died. But it's just a bizarre movie. It's a film that makes no sense whatsoever. You have this I'll show you what I mean. You have this overzealous newspaper editor who wants to start a smear campaign against the Spice Girls in an attempt to destroy their reputation for his own benefit, which really you had to wait just a couple months later for that to happen, with Jerry leaving the group and the band kind of disbanding after that point. But he's played by Barry Humphries, who you may know as Dame Edna, and in this scene he's talking about his big plan to split the Spice Girls up, and it should be a normal scene, but it starts off normal, and then this happens.
Spice Girls fall out. Spice Girls split up. Think how many copies of the paper will sell with a headline like that. I can make it happen, Brad. Me, Kevin McMaxford. I put him up there. I can bring him down. Yes. Who's gonna help me, Brad? Who is gonna help me take on girl power and bring it crashing and whimpering to the ground?
I'll find someone, Kevin. I just wish you wouldn't get so upset.
Why does it start raining in the office? I remember seeing this in theaters when I was 9 years old and thinking to myself, why is this happening? Like, why is it all of a sudden raining inside of the building and it's still sunny outside? It's just like there's clearly no idea what they were trying to do with this movie. All they thought was the Spice Girls are popular. These idiot teenage girls will buy anything if we put them on screen. And I guess they were right, because this was a gigantic hit all over, and there's just nothing going on in this story whatsoever. I mean, there's nothing interesting going on here. They just throw stuff at the wall at you to try to give you somewhat of a thread of a storyline, and there's just nothing there. And I'm saying all this like I'm bad-mouthing the Spice Girls. I love the Spice Girls, man. Their music overall is really damn good. Like, it's a music I go back to, and I'm just kind of like, I start humming the songs, and I will start singing the songs while they're at the same time. It's just like, these songs still hold up after all these years. I mean, a lot of the songs from this movie are pretty awesome. They're pretty well done. I'll gladly take this over some of the groups that we have nowadays, easily. No question about it. And, you know, this is the movie that gave us Too Much. This is the song that gave us Say You'll Be There. This is the song that the movie that gave us Stop. I mean, these are really great songs that I remember singing back then, and I still sing nowadays. I mean, the songs are still incredible songs, but the movie, the story they try to wrap around this is just abysmal. I mean, I cannot defend this movie by any means necessary. It's a really bad film. The music's awesome. The Spice Girls are awesome as a group as a whole, but the movie not so much. It's a film that quickly died a slow, painful death shortly after this came out, and you can really see why, because case in point of what I just showed you. So, anyway, let's see if we can turn the tide around. We've got Ben Affleck and Peter O'Toole in a movie that I'm sure is going to have some dramatic implications to it.
Hours missing. No bodies, no graves, no witnesses. For centuries, they told us the terror would come from above. What if it came from below?
It's nothing.
It's here! It's all around us!
What are we dealing with here? Biological, chemical, or other?
I'm leaning toward other.
Phantoms. Rated R. Starts everywhere January 23rd.
Or we'll just put them in a horror movie together. I mean, why not? I mean, let's put Lawrence of Arabia and this rising star in Ben Affleck, who is starring in Good Will Hunting when this is coming out. Let's take any of their good acting abilities and just push that off to the side. Let's let them star in this sci-fi horror movie from the master of suspense, Dean Koontz as the master of suspense. I mean, do I even need to say what's wrong with this movie? I mean, that line right there should pretty much tell you everything you need to know about what's wrong with this movie. It's not a good movie. It's not scary. It's just a lame ripoff of the X-Files. And it's not a good movie. I mean, would you expect anything less from the same man that gave us Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers? I don't think so. So, I think we could be pretty much quick on this one here. Phantoms, they should have stayed a Phantom. Just get away. I'll take Danny Phantom over this Phantoms, honestly. Thank you very much. So, yeah. Phantoms. On to the next movie, Swept from the Sea.
Once in a great while comes a love story that will stir your emotions and awaken your deepest desires. Critics hail Swept from the Sea as an inspired and epic romance, a film both hypnotic and beautiful. Vincent Perez wins your heart, and Rachel Weisz is captivating.
I will love him until the end of the world.
Swept from the Sea, rated PG-13, opens tomorrow in select theaters.
I'm sorry, can I listen to that beginning of that trailer again?
Once in a great while comes a love story that will stir your emotions and awaken your deepest desires.
There was a film like that. It's called Titanic. It's still the #1 movie at the box office at this time. Meanwhile, this film came and went, and you can kind of see why. It's about a doomed love affair between a simple country girl and a Ukrainian peasant who was swept onto the Cornish shore in 1888 after his immigrant ship sinks on its way to America. And I think you can pretty much tell where this is going. The movie itself is pretty forgettable, despite the fact that you have two good actors, Vincent Perez, Rachel Weisz. I mean, these are two very good actors. Also, Ian McKellen, Kathy Bates. A good cast overall here, but just directed by the same person that gave us To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. And the film itself is just kind of bland and mediocre. It's just a generic romantic drama. They act like it's a sweeping epic that's destined to sweep as many awards as it can, but it's not. It's nothing like that whatsoever. It's a bland, mediocre film. So much so that I don't really have anything much more to say about it, honestly. So let's just go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is John Grisham's The Gingerbread Man.
We intend to prove that the respondent is mentally incompetent.
He was a smart attorney.
He follows me.
Daddy stalks you.
But he forgot the rules.
That daughter is your client, who rumor has it you're sleeping with.
And put his family at risk.
Get off my kids.
Based on an original story by John Grisham.
If anybody gets that in their heads, I'll set up.
The Gingerbread Man, a Robert Altman film, rated R.
So Kenneth Branagh plays this lawyer who uses his power to help his lover put her father behind bars. But when he escapes, they all end up in danger. And you see Branagh along with Robert Downey Jr. as well as Robert Duvall. Embeth Davidtz is also in here. Tom Berenger, Daryl Hannah, Famke Janssen, Mae Whitman has an early role in here. And this is based off of a manuscript that John Grisham never used for a book. So they just made this into a movie. And directed by Robert Altman. I think it's because of Robert Altman that this film, that would have been seen as another lackluster January film, turns into something that actually isn't as bad as you would think it is. It's a decent film. It's nothing too incredible. It's not even the best adaptation of a John Grisham novel, honestly, but you have Robert Altman, you have Kenneth Branagh, you have Robert Downey Jr., you have a cast of some really good talent involved in here, and a story that actually does work because the actors are putting their effort into it. I think they did a very good job with it, with the stuff that they were given to it. It's not a classic film by any means. It's nothing that is going to stand up with John Grisham's other works that have been turned into films, but it's definitely a lot better than it could have easily been. I mean, Robert Altman usually will put his effort into it no matter what, and he definitely helps this movie come on big time to prevent it from being a complete disaster. And I think it works pretty well. It's nothing too grand, nothing too spectacular, but it works in the end. It's a decent film, a one-time watch for sure. Maybe not another one after that. So that's The Gingerbread Man, and here's one that you're going to want to never watch again after watching it once. Slappy and the Stinkers.
Play with someone to be friends with.
Yeah, see less, Robert.
Someone who knows how to stay cool.
Way
Cool. Then join Slappy and in one big go for it.
I really don't think I need to show you any more of that. I mean, I think you get the gist of what this movie is about. You got a group of kids who have to save an abused sea lion from a greedy circus owner, so it's pretty formulaic. It's not even that great, honestly. Plus, I swear this was shot back after The Little Rascals came out, because that kid, Travis Tedford, who plays Spanky in The Little Rascals, does not look like he's aged at all. And, I mean, I don't think he's aged all that much, because he was on The Amanda Show not too long after this, and The Amanda Show came out in 1999, so maybe he has aged a little bit. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe it doesn't look like he's aged since then. But honestly, when I see him now, when I see him in this, I just keep thinking to myself, there's no way that this film came out around the same time. That this film came out 4 years after four years after The Little Rascals, because that kid looks like he's still in that same age bracket. But even with that, the movie itself is just bland and forgettable. It's a film you've seen done to death. You've seen where it's going to go. You see what's going to happen. They're going to split apart at the end. They're going to come up. They're going to eventually get everyone back together again when it's all said and done. It doesn't even have a good cast to really work off of it. B.D. Wong, Bronson Pinchot, Jennifer Coolidge, Gary Leroy Gray, who else was in here? Sam McMurray. It's a bland and forgettable movie, and another winner from the Bubble Factory who just call it quits, man. Like, just these movies that they make from the Bubble Factory have all been terrible, and this is yet another one to add to that list. So let's try to end this on a little bit of a better note. Here's Fallen Angels. Or at least I assume it's a better film than the last film we looked at. I've never seen it before, but judging by that cinematography, I wouldn't be surprised if this actually is a decent film. This is a film from Hong Kong. It's a neo-noir crime drama about two intertwined storylines. You have one that tells the story of a hitman who's wishing to leave the criminal underworld, the prostitute he starts a relationship with, his agent who's infatuated with him. The other story is about a mute ex-convict on the run from the police and a mentally unstable woman dumped by her boyfriend, set in 1995 pre-handover Hong Kong. It explores the characters' loneliness, their alienations, and their situations around them, and yearning for connections in a hectic city. And just from that little bit of the clips that I showed you there from the trailer, it just looks like a pretty decent film. It's got some interesting camera angles here. The cinematographer of this is Christopher Doyle, and he's done a lot of movies. As he did the cinematography for stuff like Hero. He did the cinematography for the infamous Gus Van Sant remake of Psycho. But he's done a ton of other cinematography that you may be familiar with. In the Mood for Love, the aforementioned Hero, Rabbit Proof Fence, Quiet American, Lady in the Water, Passion and Play. So he's had a good, prolific cinematography career, and you can definitely see that he's got the chops in this case. But yeah, other than that, though, I don't really know too much about the movie itself. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I'm assuming it's got to be good. I mean, that trailer looked pretty nice from the little bit that the full trailer looks pretty good. I can only show a little bit there because of copyright reasons, but yeah, that's Fallen Angels.
I'm not going to tell the story the way it happened. I'm going to tell it the way I remember it.
She's beautiful, isn't she? What do you think of her? I think she's real pretty. Anything else? I think she's a snob. Even though I warn you, even though I guarantee you that the girl will only hurt you terribly, you'll still pursue her.
Are you with anyone?
From here on.
You like
a steady boyfriend?
Yes.
No.
You could have anyone. Have you seen Stella?
Stella's left for school abroad. Did you say goodbye?
I don't believe it.
It's the love of your life who left you.
You're a man now. Gotta go.
Hey, Drew.
I'm gonna paint your portrait. She was my addiction. What are you doing here?
Stella's wedding. Walter asked me to marry him.
I saw the light in that little girl's eyes, and that's still what I see.
We are who we are. People don't change. Ain't no good.
Is this? It's my heart. And it's broken.
To you, the one person who did a really pure and good thing for me.
Would you like to dance?
Don't you understand that everything I've ever done has been for you? Anything!
I do love the way you dance.
Oh, he's going to do more than dancing. I think we all pretty much know where exactly that's going. But you can tell that this is a modernized retelling of Charles Dickens' classic novel. You see Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow as the couple in this. Hank Azaria, Robert De Niro, Anne Bancroft. Chris Cooper is also in the film as well. This is co-written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón, his third film and his second after he did A Little Princess. He co-wrote this with Mitch Glazer and also an uncredited rewrite from David Mamet. And you can tell there's changes in the script in terms of the character names. Like Pip is not Pip in this; his name is Finn. The character Miss Havisham is named Nora Dinsmore, and Abel Magwitch is now Arthur Lustig. That's the Robert De Niro character. And I guess they were trying to recapture the success they had with Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet from a couple years back, which worked for what it was trying to do. But this one, not so much. It's a film that I think has some good elements to it. I think Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow work fine in the movie. Most of the performances in here aren't too bad. I really don't have too many real memories of this movie. I saw it one time. It was fine for what it is, but it's not one of those movies I'd go back and watch over and over again. It's a film that's just kind of like, it's there. It's nothing too special, nothing too crazy. So I wish I had some more to say about it, honestly, but you feel like that Alfonso Cuarón has directed so many other better movies that this one kind of gets pushed off to the side, probably for a good reason. It's a film that's not really all that impressive or that memorable, honestly, but it's fine for what it is. It kind of starts off strong and then kind of fades off a little bit when it's all said and done. So I wish I had some more to say about it, but that's pretty much all I remember from this movie. Not a whole lot. So that's Great Expectations for you. So coincidentally, Great Expectations didn't meet the great expectations it was supposed to set, but I digress. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Babette Schroeder's Desperate Measures with Michael Keaton and Andy Garcia.
I cannot imagine God who would care. I put my faith in the power of my own mind. The cave is loose. Michael Keaton. Andy Garcia. They'll regret the day they met. Desperate Measures. Rated R. Opens everywhere Friday.
So Andy Garcia plays the San Francisco police officer who's in a search to find a comparable bone marrow donor to his gravely ill son. And there's one donor. Unfortunately, he's a convicted multiple murderer played by Michael Keaton, who sees a trip to the hospital as the perfect opportunity to get what he wants most, freedom. And when he leaves, the entire hospital becomes a battleground, and the cop must pursue and ironically protect the deadly fugitive who is his son's only hope for survival. The interesting thing about this movie is that Babette Schroeder directed it, but originally Michael Bay was supposed to direct this movie. He was supposed to direct this film, but he turned it down to do The Rock, which ended up working in his favor. But this would have been something pretty interesting. I would have liked to see what Michael Bay would have done with this, honestly. Something outside of his normal thing, but like I said, he did it for The Rock instead, which ended up being a really good movie in the process. This film, not so much. It's hard to believe this is the same director that gave us Reversal of Fortune. How much of a downward spiral he's taken since then. Single White Female, Kiss of Death, Before and After, and now this movie. And yeah, this is not a very entertaining film at all. This is a film that's just kind of bland, not really all that exciting, and it wastes some really good talent on board here. You have Michael Keaton and Andy Garcia. You would think there'd be a good movie here with those two actors there. You also have Brian Cox, Marcia Gay Harden. Like, so much potential there. Just didn't live up to any of the expectations that they had for it. And it's pretty generic, too. It's a mediocre film that doesn't really have anything going for it. You can kind of figure out where it's going to go when it's all said and done. It's a pretty forgettable movie. I mean, it's a January movie. What more can you expect from it? And speaking of January movies that you can kind of see coming from a mile away that are not going to be great, here's Stephen Sommers' Dead Rising.
At a depth of 4,000 feet, they roam harmlessly, minuscule, and unseen by human eyes. At 20,000 feet, they've been known to eat full-grown sharks. But what if those at 40,000 feet were to rise from the deep?
I know I just said Dead Rising. No, it's Deep Rising. Deep Rising is the name of the film. But, I mean, it's pretty much the Poseidon Adventure meets Alien. I mean, it's like the Poseidon Adventure. Stephen Sommers looked at the Poseidon Adventure and said, you know what, this could actually use aliens from another planet. And lo and behold, this is what we got here. You have Treat Williams, Famke Janssen, Anthony Held. A story that really has been done before. Like I said, it's just the Poseidon Adventure, but it's just throwing aliens in there, and it's nothing that incredible. The effects on the CG alien aren't that exciting whatsoever. I mean, we had a movie like this similarly come out the year before with The Relic, which is pretty much a mix between Night at the Museum meets Alien, but that film worked a lot better because the alien design looked so much better, and it was much more interesting of a story to go along with that. But this just feels like they've taken two things that could work and just putting it to a really lackluster script that's not really all that impressive or all that engaging. And the fact that Industrial Light and Magic was behind this, and this is the best they could do, it's just like, it's a mess, man. It's a mess of a movie on so many levels. And Treat Williams deserves a lot better than this. Like, Treat Williams deserved to star in much better movies than this. In addition to him, Famke Janssen, and Anthony Held, you have Wes Studi, Clifton Powell, Cliff Curtis, Jaimin Hansu. But like I said, it's just a film that's been done to death so many times already, and it was just kind of like, there's so much potential there with the storyline, but just a bad delivery overall. And it's just like, yeah, and coincidentally, this came out a week after Phantoms, which is pretty much the same type of a film, taking good actors and wasting them on material that could have been so much better. But yeah, the film was just a mess. I know it has a cult following to it, but it's definitely not one of Stephen Sommers' best movies, honestly. So that's Deep Rising. So let's go ahead and move on to an actual good film that came out this weekend. Jake Kasdan's Zero Effect with Bill Pullman and Ben Stiller.
Best private investigator in the world.
When he's working, smoothest operator you've ever seen. Brave, slick, cunning. As soon as he gets off work, complete freak, nuts, tactless, terrible, rude. Hello.
What's his name?
Daryl.
Sergio.
Mysterious and brilliant Daryl Zero. Can I ask you a question? Why are we talking on the phone?
Zero Effect, rated R. Opens Friday in select cities.
So Bill Pullman plays this private investigator, Daryl Zero, along with his assistant Steve Arlo, played by Ben. I keep doing it again. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller is the guy that's playing Steve Arlo, not Ben Affleck. Get Ben Affleck out of your head. Okay. Anyway, so Daryl Zero, played by Bill Pullman, is a private investigator, along with his assistant Steve Arlo, played by Ben Stiller. He solves impossible crimes and puzzles through a master investigator who is not working. Zero doesn't know what to do with himself. He has no social skills, he writes bad music, he drives Arlo crazy, and in his latest case, he must find out who is blackmailing a rich executive, and when his client won't tell him why, the only problem with the case is that Zero has done something he's never done before and got emotionally involved. So This is pretty much a modern-day retelling of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, the film is literally loosely based on one of Arthur Conan Doyle's stories, A Scandal in Bohemia, and they found a way to make it really enjoyable. It's a really well-made film. This director, Jake Kasdan, would later go on to direct comedies such as Walk Hard, the Jumanji movies, Red One. I mean, he's a pretty good director. And this was his first major film as a director, and it's a really good job taking a story like Sherlock Holmes, bringing it to a modern generation, and creating a very fun, very unique comedy that has a lot of good jokes in it, a really good cast involved. I mean, Bill Pullman and Ben Stiller work off each other so well here, and a pretty good Ryan O'Neal performance too. Everyone kind of forgot about him at this point after the movies he starred in, but this is a nice return to form for him. But like I said, the movie as a whole really is well done. It's a very slick film, a very impressive film overall. And would you believe this is also produced by Jim Henson's wife, Lisa Henson? Yeah, she's one of the producers on this. And I thought that was just pretty interesting too. This is a really good film. It's definitely the strongest film of the films that we're looking at this week. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's a really good, underrated little gem. So, with that said, on to the next movie. Yet another star-studded misfire, and that is Deceiver.
That's the idea. Seduction.
You're glad.
Because I don't know. Passion.
I love you.
Murder. We have a phone number found in a dead girl's pocket. Your phone number.
I told you I didn't know her.
Trying to put one over us? Is he her lover?
Truth? That's in here.
Or her killer? If you're lying, I'll kill you.
It's the point of the game, isn't it?
Deceiver. Rated R.
So I guess this is multiple stories rolled into one. You have this textile company heir, played by Tim Roth, who's accused of murdering a prostitute named Elizabeth, played by Renee Zellweger, whose body is found cut in two. The murder is then investigated by this detective, played by Michael Rooker, and his less experienced partner, played by Chris Penn. Tim Roth's character is a heavy drinker and compulsive liar. He's prone to memory losses, periods of violence. He's rich enough to access necessary information. However, as soon as he learns his interrogator's own dark secrets, Michael Rooker's character has an affair with Elizabeth to get back at his wife, Rosanna Arquette, for cheating on him. And Braxton has gambling debts with a bookie named Mook, played by Ellen Burstyn, who's demanding $20,000 in payment. Maybe it's not three different stories. Maybe it's just a story that's just so all over the place they couldn't decide what direction to take with it. And the film, I think, kind of suffers from that. Good actors all around here. Tim Roth, Chris Penn, Ellen Burstyn, Renee Zellweger, Michael Rooker, Rosanna Arquette, Michael Parks. Just a good cast overall here, but just so much stuff going on here. And it's just kind of a generic movie. It's a film that nothing really kind of like some of the other movies we looked at this week. Nothing really interesting happens in here. It's mostly a story that has some potential, but never really lives up to that potential. It's supposed to be a film that is supposed to make you guess what's going to happen, and you can kind of figure out what's going to happen as soon as you see some of the elements that they show in here. It's not an engaging story whatsoever. It's not an interesting story whatsoever. A lot of these actors who are trying their best here really are not given enough good material to make it stand out. It's a forgettable movie, man. It's a bland, forgettable mess of a film. So I wish I had some more to say about it, but that's pretty much all I remember from it, from the film that I saw a long, long time ago. I only saw it once, never saw it again, and for good reason. Anyway, on to the last film, and that is 4 Days in September.
Stand for man. Diane, please, for man.
Eu e Fernando vamos pra luta armada. A gente quer saber se você também vai. Tô brincando? Não, estamos falando sério. Você é seminarista. Matar passarinho é pecado.
So this is a Brazilian thriller film directed by this guy who has made a couple of notable films here in America. One Tough Cop, most notably A View from the Top, which is the Gwyneth Paltrow airplane comedy, which featured a ton of celebrities in that one. We won't get to that one for another 5 years. But in this movie, this is basically a dramatized version of the 1969 kidnapping of the United States ambassador to Brazil, Charles Burke Elbrick, played by Alan Arkin, by these members of the revolutionary movement 8 October, and Aceo Libertadora Nacional, ALN. I don't speak Brazilian, so I'm just reading it off of here. I think that's how you pronounce it. If it's not, I apologize, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because I haven't seen the movie, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. I mean, I'd probably see it just for Alan Arkin. I mean, Alan Arkin usually will bring another level to a film like this, but I don't know. It's got some mixed reviews on here. It doesn't have a lot of good praise going for it, so maybe it's not a movie that really... I mean, maybe it's not a movie that's not that great. It did get nominated for a Best Foreign Language Film Oscar at the Academy Awards. It didn't win, so it's got to be worth something, I guess. Fisher Stevens is also in it too, for some reason. I don't know why, but like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. Maybe it is actually good. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. How many times can I say I don't know in this? So let's take a drink. That's my fourth one, but I'm just killing time right now. So that's 4 days in September.